Welcome to day 238 of the 300 movie challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of March 2014, which was Noah.
Wait, actually, I have a question.
Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, apparently, all the animals of the world are supposed to fit in the ark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to all, like, the fishies and, like, seals and dolphins and whatnot?
I was actually about to ask that too.
Fuck 'em.
Because we just had Truth Month, and
Yeah.
as we all know, Truth is like a fish, everything. So, it's kind of just like, wait a minute. And that's you can't even give the argument of like salt water and stuff because okay, what about all the freshwater stuff?
Right.
Are you doubting the scientific accuracy of Noah's Ark?
I mean,
Yeah.
apparently they decided to throw in the Big Bang and everything in the middle of
Oh,
this
God.
movie. And somehow Noah knows about the Big Bang Theory and
Okay.
evolution and whatnot.
I mean,
To
it's
go off of the fish and marine life and freshwater life thing. Did they not think to put any plants on this boat?
no, because
Yeah, that's true. Not only that, but going off with the whole like inserting the Big Bang thing in the middle, it's kind of like, okay, you kind of acknowledge all of this, okay, and then it suddenly converts to like Adam and Eve, and it's kind of like, how did you go from like evolution and everything
No,
to
it's
like,
literally they were showing like an ape like walking up a tree for a second. We're like, wait, how are they gonna do evolution? Then they just cut to like glowy Adam and Eve, and you're like, oh, they don't.
That effect was so terrible and
Yeah.
bad, and oh my lord.
This... Okay, so
Science hurts.
here's how I felt watching this movie.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I don't really care, but it's not like terrible. It's just kind of whatever. And I mean, at least there's some like the rock dudes are like kind of neat, I guess. And
yeah.
okay, fine. And then I'm like, this is kind of going on for a while, but okay, they're gonna get in the arc together. Okay, here comes the water. All right, we're gonna kind of wrap things up here. How is there still an hour left?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm so bored.
Ugh.
It's so dark. I can't see anything half the time. I'm literally like mentally dying. Why is Noah suddenly an asshole?
Yep.
Like I was just kind of like meh on it for like the first like I don't know 60%.
I agree. Like the Watchers, I think they were called the Watchers.
Yeah.
They
They
were
were neat.
pretty cool in the concept and how they like animated and stuff. It's kind of like okay, I still don't quite understand how the whole thing with like God making them forsaken for like wanting to see humans is a thing, but I'm sure there's some explanation in the
I mean, if I got a form like a rock transformer, I'd think I'm pretty badass at that point. I'm like, okay, you can give me this form, it's fine, whatever. I don't need to be in heaven.
rock transformers.
Yeah.
And I also appreciate the fact that they kind of explained how the Ark was built because they had rock transformers.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Low-key slavery.
So
It's kind of like, okay, I can kind of understand at least that part at least and stuff. But even before we began this movie, I was like, how can this movie be 2 hours and 15 minutes long if like a picture book is able to tell the entire story and you're able to read it in like 10 minutes?
no, you know what I thought was hilarious? So on the Wikipedia page for this movie, it specifically has a category for the book adaptation.
Oh, what?
And I don't mean the Bible. I mean they literally made a book adaptation of this movie.
What?
And I'm like, why?
Why would you? Why is that necessary?
I don't know.
Why don't you just read the Bible?
I know.
Just read the Bible or the book of Genus? Is that how you
Genesis.
pronounce it? Genus?
Genesis.
Genesis? Okay, Genesis. I'm
But
sorry.
yeah, like
Venus is like a scientific term,
Yeah.
so there's no way that fits.
it's just.
I'm bad at pronouncing things.
But yeah, like the first like 60% is just kind of not
Dull.
that in. Yeah, it's just kind of meh. But then like that last hour just drags so much, and you're just like, fucking, why is this happening? Why does Noah want to kill his grandkids? They really don't explain that. It's like, oh, he thought that like God was supposed to kill everybody, but like then why didn't he kill you? Like to save the animals, I guess. So it's like, but wait, God can't just do that himself. I mean, like,
Wait,
he's
actually-
God, right? Like, okay, look, part of the problem is I don't legitimately know like what actually was specifically in the Bible. Like, was this whole
Yeah.
thing about the
None of us
grandchildren?
do.
Was that in the Bible? I have no idea. But like, it feels like it comes out of nowhere. Maybe that's just what the story already had, but
Yeah, I don't really
I don't
understand the whole like Noah actually kind of being an asshole thing.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I also don't understand how, like... Okay, there are a few things. Again, none of us know what the actual story is like and stuff, so...
at least the details, of course, we know the general.
Yeah,
but-
we
Yeah,
know.
we just
that
know
Mark
a
was-
boat happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and 2 of each animal, even though they showed herds of animals going in, but okay, side note. So, okay, there's the whole grandchildren thing, and then you kind of think of the fact of, okay, why didn't he leave his family behind then if he didn't want to, like, continue humanity and just go on by himself?
Oh yeah, wait a minute.
Because then it's kind of like, if he really wanted to be the last person alive, then that would have been very simple to do.
I mean, they left his grandfather.
That, and then there was the fact that he left, like, that girl
Yeah.
that, like, his son fell in love with,
I
or
think
whatever.
the idea with that is that, like, oh, but they could have children and we don't want that, but it's like, again, I don't get that thought. It's just, okay, part of the problem with this is God is not portrayed, like, in the same manner throughout the Bible. Because you have the God that can literally, you know, create the universe, but then here you have a God that needs some dude to make a ship to save animals. He can't just save the animals. Like, why not, right? You know, I don't get
Yeah.
it. So, is it what, to test Noah to prove that he's great? I don't get it. Like, I don't get any of this shit. Again, I'm not the right person to talk about this anyway, because I don't believe in
None
this,
of
and
us really are,
it
but
just... So, again, I get the thing where, like, okay, if you're adapting this kind of story, I would imagine you would, at least in terms of, if you know, again, if the grandkids thing was in the original story, they kind of would have to include it, because otherwise all the actual religious people would be, like, really pissed off, right?
Right.
But that doesn't make him an enjoyable character to experience in a movie. So,
especially for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
yeah, well, or again, like, at least that last hour is just like, fucking hell, do something not suck. Like, I don't know. God. Like, again, this is, okay, it's like 2 hours and like 15 minutes, I think, as you said. And like, that's not that long, all things considered, right?
Yeah.
But this feels really long.
I felt like I was low-key dying.
Like, again, I felt like when they got to the when the water was coming, I'm like, okay.
I thought that was going to be the end,
Or, yeah,
too.
that was the
Yeah.
climax, and I'm like, okay, this feels like it was an appropriate length, whatever, and then I'm like, how the fuck is there an hour left? Oh my god. It's not quite like... This is close to up there with, like, the longest movies that, like, in terms of what they felt like, but it's not quite top tier. Like, the top tier ones for me are the ones that felt like literally double their length. And this
like
did not...
Interview and Tin Cup.
To me, Interview, Tin Cup, and then Bridget Jones's Diary, even though it was only 90 minutes, felt 3 hours long. So I'm counting that one as well. So to me, those are the three that were like, oh my god, this is so long, I want to die. Whereas this is, like, not quite there, but, like, that last hour was definitely there, and, like...
No, I still wanted to die.
Eh, I guess. Um. Yeah, Noah's character throughout the entire film isn't particularly like.
Is this how he actually was in the Bible?
I
I
I
don't know.
feel like he shouldn't be like this.
I don't know. I don't know. But then, didn't you have fucking, like, God told Abraham to like kill his son Isaac or something, or whatever?
But then he didn't actually kill his son, though.
I don't know. Just
Wait,
God's an
what?
asshole.
Wait, what? This is news to me. What the-
Yeah, well,
Oh, there was like a tale where God told Abraham to kill his son, but then and he was about to do it, but then at the last moment, like, God stopped him and stuff. So,
for some
Yeah.
reason.
Is the Christian God just a tsundere or something? I don't understand.
Well, no,
I don't understand because I'm just like, okay, why? Okay, I understand that there are different sects of Christianity and they have different interpretations of like their God, but why do they have to make him so mean sometimes? Like,
like-
I would want if I was to have a God, I would want him to be like a caring old man or something like Santa Claus. Isn't that more
Well-
enjoyable?
Santa Claus without the
Santa
capitalism.
Claus is-
He's
Communist,
Narnia, so whatever.
You want communist Santa Claus as your god.
Communist Santa Claus.
Oh my god. Okay, getting back to I was gonna point out the fact that there were some things where I was like, okay, isn't this kind of going against what you would think? Because there's the part where he goes to get like wives or something from like the village, but then despite hearing all the screams of help and everything and of all the girls and women who are being like sold and whatnot, he kind of just walks away.
Okay,
and
so
humanity is pigs.
Wikipedia specifically says during that scene, he says like because of what he saw, he thinks that like all men are evil and they all should die or whatever. Like that's apparently the inciting incident with like that
What?
whole motivation of his character. Yeah, apparently I didn't not
How are you
come across
supposed
at
to
all.
get that from the scene?
I don't know. It's just
Wait, but how would you? Okay, I can kind of understand how that's a horrific scene and whatnot, but you don't think to like try and
Help.
do something? and
yeah.
help?
Ugh.
This is also coming from the guy who was very willing to like kill his grandchildren later on down the line.
Well, that's supposedly the whole thing of like the humanity as a whole is wrong or whatever, and like we have to end it all. It's just like I don't think I think it's stupid. I'm just trying to say like what apparently it's supposed to be. So
Okay.
yeah, whatever.
And then there's the other scene where he left the girl to get trampled.
Yeah. I'm surprised that this is rated as well as it is.
What is it?
It has it's like a high 60 or like low 70 or something on Metacritic.
I think it's probably the visuals that you do see. I have to
guess.
phrase it.
Well, see, exactly, because it's dark like for like a third of the movie. You can't even see it. And, like I guess visually it's decent, but like
Like, yeah, the rock people are cool, and then the boat was kind of neat.
I think if
That's
they
it.
ended it just where like the water came up and everything, it would have been like fine.
yeah, I would have probably still ultimately said like I would have been debating whether or not to put it in mixed or dislike if it
Right.
ended there. Whereas now
Yeah.
I'm like, let me put it this way: I'd rather watch Waterworld over watching this. I'm not kidding.
You know, after watching this movie, I was kind of like, maybe we should have watched a Joke Noah movie.
Because at least Waterworld, like, it's bad, but like some of it's like really bad. But like, there's parts of it that are like entertainingly bad. Nothing of this is entertainingly bad. It's just like frustrating or like boring or stupid. And there's parts of that in Waterworld that I just like, ugh. And it's really sad because Waterworld is not very good, like at all.
Oh,
No,
Ugh,
I didn't like it either.
I didn't feel like that like dragged that much either. I think it did a little bit, if I remember correctly, but it's also been a really long time since we saw that. So, but that's really sad when I'd rather watch fucking Waterworld over this. So,
At least Waterworld, you could see everything. I
yeah,
guess.
that's true.
Yeah.
And there was also a big boat in that.
Oh yeah.
Was the base of the pirate dudes or whatever. And it had the guy who was in like the gas chamber who got blown up.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
How am I remembering this?
Completely forgot about the. Yeah, why do you remember so much?
I don't know. But
I'm just like blue screened from all the misogyny and just being like, why is Noah such an asshole? This shouldn't
Oh
be
wait,
how
actually,
he actually.
we should bring up one thing, which is that one of the biggest issues that people found with this film was the all-white cast.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, okay, apparently I was reading further to that, and like the director or at least somebody who was, making the movie basically said like it's a mythological story, so they can kind of be whatever race you want, and it's like, I guess so, but
So why didn't you make them all Asian or black
well,
instead?
yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I feel like this is not, in terms of like racial casting, this is not, again, I kind of at least understand the point of view there and how the default for all these things is just, well, if we don't know, make them white. So it's like, I can see that's like annoying or whatever, but like I think this is not as, I don't see it as much of an issue compared to like
Like Ghost in the Shell, for example.
well, yeah, oh, that's much worse. Or I'm even thinking like Passion of the Christ, like he looked pretty white, and that was supposed to
yeah.
be like,
Prince of Persia.
and that was supposed to be like, a realistic movie or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly though, I'd rather watch Passion of the Christ than this, even though
I think I was thinking about that too. I was like, yeah, even though it's like a humongous, gory thing
It's
and
a torture
everything,
porn.
I think, yeah, I'd
it's
rather.
a more interesting movie just as like a concept of it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
so yeah.
I think it teaches the lesson that it was supposed to teach better too. Even
Yeah.
though we couldn't understand a word they were saying, at least we were like, okay,
Yeah,
they
that-
tortured Jesus. He died. That was sad.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like the visuals and the soundtrack and stuff like that worked for what it was trying to do. So
yeah.
yeah, where this just anything else?
Are we on to greener pastures? Hopefully next time.
Yes, we are actually. The next movie is one that a lot of people say is of the franchise it's in, one of the best movies in that franchise. So
Oh,
Oh, okay. Cool.
yay.
and so yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that. So, yay, we get something good.
All right.
With that, we'll sail away
Oh my god.
and not.
He didn't even sail.
He just.
Oh yeah, that's true. He kind of just drifted.
Mhm.
Floated.
You know what they should have done?
Well,
Huh?
When the waves come, it just knocks the whole thing over and everyone dies.
I think one of you said a joke where it was like maybe they'll run into the boats of 2012.
Oh, yeah.
That's me. Yeah.
If only.
That was when we hit the 1 hour mark, and Valen was like, "What else could they put in here?" And I was like, "Maybe
Yeah.
they're gonna hit the boat,
It's a crossover.
and they're gonna compare how many animals they have on board." They actually do like a time jump or something.
See, now you're making me think of something else. Where, like, what if, again, I'm thinking of, like, this is related to 2012, not this movie, but, like, what if they kind of took this idea of, like, sort of like an isolated group of people, like, that it's maybe, I don't know, like, the fucking, like, Amish community or whatever during, like, the 2012 events, like, how they're trying to, and they, like, could, like, incorporate that into their, like, religion or something. I don't know.
Did you mention that in the 2012 review? I don't remember. But
no,
that would be kind of neat.
No, I mentioned in the 2012 that I think it'd be interesting to see like a sequel, maybe like 100 or so years in the future, where like that's
Oh,
stuff that happened.
was what you
But
mentioned.
no, I'm thinking more something like that's there while the stuff is happening, and they're trying to like justify it through like folklore or something like that. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah, just don't. Just
It's not worth your time.
No, it's not.
Go read the Bible instead if you
And-
want to know.
Or don't. It's,
Yeah,
it's
that too.
honestly no. Never mind.
Just go read a picture book.
Oh, boy.
Just go stare at the ocean.
We're gonna get a lot of flack for this.
Oh, whatever. Because like we've never had a controversial opinion on this ever.
True.
Okay.
Whatever.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.